future. Let's get started. Remember, all questions are good questions, so feel free to interrupt me at any time. Remember that we're collaborating to learn from each other, so you're going to be doing a lot of group work and a lot of thinking. Yes. Okay, so we're going to do a small activity to start with, and that's called Sustainability Snapshot. All of you have a tool in your hands. What are you going to do? You're going to quickly go to the internet. Yes? And I think everyone either has 3 or 4G or there's actually internet here. And you're going to select a photo that represents sustainability for you. You're going to share it with your neighbor. This should only take 1 minute. And explain why you chose it and how it relates to sustainability. Go. Does everybody have their snapshot ready to share with their neighbor? So show it to your neighbor, the person sitting next to you. Why does it represent sustainability? How does it relate to it? Okay, thank you everyone. Now, a very interesting one. I had a quick walk around the room and what did I realize? Almost everybody's picture looks green. I think there was only one exception there. Almost everyone's picture was a green picture. So in our minds, when we think about sustainability, we all think about green. Now, later on, we're going to think about the use of the cell phone, okay? So later on, we're going to think about the sustainability and the cell phone, but right now, yes, green the planet is what we are talking about. So, sustainability, most of us, when we think about sustainability, and I saw that here, think about the first part, yes, the environmental part, the preservation and protection of natural resources and ecosystems. But in reality, sustainability is so much more. It's economic sustainability, it's social sustainability, and it's the interaction of those. Yes? But today, just for clarification, we're focusing on green, yes? And we're focusing on the first part. Yes? Now, all of you know those 17 things, which are the Sustainable Development Goals, which were issued by the United Nations to protect the planet and improve the lives. At your tables, which of these 17 are linked to the planet and the environment? So quickly discuss, 1 minute, which ones of the 17 are linked to the planet? SDGs. Sustainable Development Goals. If you can't read them, if you just quickly put in your phone SDGs, you will have them. So I'm going to give you an example. Yes? I'm going to give you an example of the oceans. Yes, there's something about oceans and water. That's one of the Sustainable Development Goals. So my question is, what about the others? Which ones are linked to the planet? Anybody want to give me an idea? 13. What is 13 about?
Climate action.
Climate action. Yes. Number 11. What's 11 about?
Sustainable cities and
yes, sustainable cities and communities. Yes. Anybody else?
All the 17 are linked with the planet.
All of the 17 in reality, in some way, are linked to the planet. Some are specific, others are less so, but they're all linked to the planet. Yes. What is environmental sustainability? And we all know it is Which one of those? We have 4 definitions there. Which one do you think is the definition? A, B, C, or D? What do you think if you read them? So, taking care of the planet daily, is that only it? Reducing, reusing, recycling, and refusing. Responsibility to conserve natural resources and protect global ecosystems to support health and well-being now and in the future, or is it just a buzzword in education? What do you think? It is letter C. Yes, because C combines all of the other things that are there. Now, what is the climate crisis? What is the climate emergency? Why don't I just say there's climate change? We have an increase in temperature, but why am I calling it a crisis or an emergency? And especially young people know all about this. Yes?
Actually, it's a crisis because the trees are there's a deforestation and there's a danger for us.
Yeah, so deforestation is an example. Yes, absolutely. Is it a small problem? Is climate change a small problem? No. Does it impact all of us? Yes, not only in Pakistan, but globally. Is it going to go away easily? No. So we're at a crisis. We're in an emergency situation because we have to handle. Okay? It's not just a change. It is a crisis that is impacting all of our lives and will impact into the future. So in 2019, climate emergency was the Oxford Word of the Year. When something becomes the Word of the Year, it's because it is so important. Yes, we need urgent action. Okay, now we're going to link that climate crisis, that climate emergency, to education. Who in here is a teacher? Most of you. Yes? Who in here is a student? Yes, most of us are too, but I see a lot of young students as well. So I would say I'm a teacher, I'm a student. I don't have kids, so I'm not a parent, but many of you are parents too. Yes? So we're wearing different hats. Yes? And still it impacts all of us. But we're now specifically going to think about education and, if we're teachers, about our classroom. So, we're going to think in our groups, yes, with the people sitting next to you, 3 reasons why environmental sustainability and the climate crisis are not only relevant, but they're very important in education. So brainstorm at your tables, in your groups. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can I get some feedback? 3 reasons. Go ahead.
As you know, Pakistan is facing extreme climate crisis, and it also faces floods and weather and extreme weather. So that's why it's not only relevant but important to community.
Excellent! Wow, that's perfect. I'm really impressed. So we say we're facing a lot of context challenges challenges within Pakistan. So it's absolutely relevant. We need to talk about it. We need to deal with it in our classrooms. You are doing a great job. Anybody else? Yes.
To spread awareness, to think of solutions, and also CSR, corporate social responsibility network.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to tackle it in our classroom. You've mentioned some. He's mentioned some. Anybody else?
And once we talk of education, it is not the thing that we are spreading the paper knowledge to the student. It is primarily the awareness among the students. And once we aware the student, it means that we are producing a better leadership for the future. And once the better leadership is produced for the future, it is going to take care of the ecological system, the environment, and obviously ultimately they are going to take care of the entire community as well.
Yes.
That's why it is relevant.
Absolutely. So we are preparing the future leaders of tomorrow, right? And education cannot be loose from the real world. We have to prepare for our real world. Absolutely. Very nice. 1 minute. I'm going to come to you.
We need to put this into education because we need our future generation to be mindful about the carbon footprint, how much they're leaving it. So
yes.
They need to be mindful.
What about our carbon footprint? And later on, we're going to be talking about our carbon footprint. Yes?
Now, focus actually is more towards the future generation. So, whatever the sustainability is, future generation actually has more importance to because we have to take the things for them, which are they will be the leaders in future for them.
Yes. So we can't leave the world in a bad shape, right? We need to make it. We need to prepare it to be a good world for the future generation. They're going to take it over. Yes. It's even more concern for them.
There are things which are happening, there are floods which are happening, there are so many crises which are happening. Still, they are not taking, the leaders are not taking the steps. The youth, in comparison, has less resistance. So once you take it, once you get them hold on this idea, you will bring a major change.
Yes. So our leaders, she's saying our leaders are not really standing still. They're not really taking action. So the youth is going to have to push the leaders. They're going to have to take that role to motivate. I'm going to stop right there just because we could have a discussion of an hour on this. Now, my question to you, do you think young people are worried about the climate crisis? No. You don't think so? That's an interesting one. So your students aren't worried. Yes. Let's listen to our colleague teacher.
Since 10 years in Beacon House at my campus, I've been working on sustainability, and so far my students are now aware of what is their role as a student. They are not thinking who is going to change. Now they are thinking it's we who are going to change. They have done lots of things. They planted the shade tree around. The neem tree is getting, you all are aware, is getting vanished from our country. That is our birth resource. They are doing that.
So they're taking action.
They are taking actions and they know what are their rules. So it is not just saying it is only they are not doing, they are quite capable, but they must be aware of what they are going to do.
Okay, so our students are taking actions and they're aware. That's what you're saying from your experience.
I also study in Nele Noe and I'm a fellow student teacher in Nele Noe. After some couple of years, we have an event called the Recycling Garden, in which all the students participate from these different branches. And this year, my team also created a project which is also related to recycling.
So for you, it's important. Yes. Yes. So you're doing a recycling project, a community project. I'm going to stop there and I'm going to show you in a moment what the research says. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm a student of the Facilitators, and currently I'm running a social impact project on sustainability. Me and my team this year I had participated in making urban community gardens. And in urban areas there are no aware of plants. And me and my team have the main objective that we have to get planting more aware of people around. So that's why we are about sustainability. We have to make sustainability in our country a lot because there is a lot of lacking within our
Yes. So the question I asked was a little bit different because I said look at that in a minute. A lot of you teachers and adults said no. A lot of our young people are saying we're doing things, a recycling project, an urban community garden. So there is movement. In a moment, we're going to look at, is there worry? Is there fear among young people? And you're actually going to see, is there fear amongst you as adults? Yes? Now I'm going to move it a little bit forward. So these are the reasons why climate crisis and education need to go hand in hand. Yes? Climate crisis is not loose from education. Sustainability is part of education. And I think most of these we've mentioned, but one that we have not is the eco-anxiety. And some of you may have never heard of eco-anxiety, but if you've been on the social media networks, you probably have noticed that it's a very hot topic. Yes, it's a very important topic, and we're going to talk about it today. Yes? So, you said to me, I don't think anybody's worried. Well, this is what research is showing us. Now, Pakistan wasn't part of this research. However, if you look at countries in the region, so we have Philippines, India, Brazil, then we have European countries, Portugal, France, we have African country, Nigeria, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So 10,000 young people were interviewed and were given surveys. And what they asked them is, are you worried about climate change? Actually, all 10,000 responded yes. And then you see the breakdown of statistics. So from 59% being very or extremely worried to 84% at least moderately worried. 50% had very negative emotions about the climate, being sad, anxious, angry, and more than 45% of respondents said that climate change negatively affects their daily life and functioning. So it's very interesting how you are saying, oh, they're not worried, but that's not the global picture. And I encourage you to survey your students. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually do it ourselves. We're going to see how we feel about it as a group. So what is eco-anxiety? Eco-anxiety is my feeling that I'm really worried about the current and future harm to the environment that is caused by my activity and human activity in general and climate change. I feel helpless. How am I going to save the planet? How am I going to protect the planet for future generations? So, what are we going to do next? Here you go. Please scan and fill in our eco-anxiety poll. Yes, go ahead and scan it and fill it in. So please go ahead. There's a few questions. Please scan it. Does everybody know how to scan with their phone? And I will send you the results later, but they are coming in. You can move around and you can go closer to the screen if that helps you. Yes? If anybody needs help, please let me know. You're okay? Yes? Okay. Everyone's fine standing? Yes? Everyone's okay? Yes? Any notes, Kevin? Yeah, actually that's so if your scanning doesn't work because it's an issue of the dimensions of the PowerPoint, there is actually a link under there as well. Yes. So I know some people are struggling, there's also a link there. It's because of the screen, yeah. So there is a link there in case you cannot manage. And I'm going to quickly check. I promise to send the PowerPoint so you can later do this as well. Yes? So I will make it available. Yes? So that you can test it later as well. And I do recommend that if you're a teacher that you do this with your students. Yes? It's a good exercise to do with your students. It's a good warm-up exercise to do. It only takes a few minutes. Yes? Yes. Okay, so from the people who filled it in, yes? These are the results. Of the people who filled it in, majority of you are thinking about environmental issues on a daily or a weekly basis. Oh, it is on our minds, all right. Are extremely concerned about the state of the environment. When the question was asked about, do environmental issues impact your mental health? Most people said yes, somewhat,
is there
or not really. The thing is that we don't have enough respondents to be able to, because it says 50%, 50%, but it's not a large enough number right now. Which of the following environmental issues cause you the most anxiety? The majority of people said climate change in general. How do you cope with feelings of eco-anxiety? Most people chose talking to friends or family. Second one was participating in environmental activism. Do you feel that you have enough information and resources to address your eco-anxiety? 50% said yes, definitely. 50% said yes, somewhat. What actions do you take to reduce your environmental impact? We had, the top numbers were recycling and reducing waste, conserving energy and water, and supporting sustainable products and companies. And then the last question, do you believe that individual actions can make a significant difference in addressing environmental issues? We had yes, absolutely, and yes to some extent. So you see that even in a small group survey here, it is on everyone's mind. It is a huge concern, and it is especially a concern for our young people. Yes? So, therefore, we must include it in education. We do not have a choice. It is our reality. Yes? So, this is what the research shows. These are the key pointers to identifying eco-anxiety. On the left side, we have what are some common causes of eco-anxiety. I'm going to give an example. Air pollution in big cities in Pakistan would fall under living or working in an area affected by climate change. What is that going to make me feel like? Well, maybe I feel helpless. How am I going to change that? Maybe I feel sad at times because I can't go for a walk outside. Yes? So we have to think about common causes linked to the context of our students and then the symptoms. Has anyone ever seen any of these symptoms in their students? What? Becoming irritated, yes?
And because of closing the external activities, they are not allowed to go out and play, so they are most agitated in the class.
Yes. Especially when we have to keep them inside because of poor air quality. They can't go outside, they don't have enough physical activity, makes them irritated. Yes.
Lack of consistency and that they don't have any extra activities, so many in between, and constant sitting at the same place throughout the day. So they want some change in between. No?
Yes, they want
sometimes they get so much irritated and depressed as well that they give up the studies. For something like they want a relaxation and change for a shorter span of time, कि जी हम थोड़ा बाहर जाएं, go to surrounding, or
yes.
like some change in between.
Yes.
A relaxed environment must be there.
Yes. So physical activity, for example, is a very important one because we cannot have it if we have problems with children being outside. So, what can we do? What steps can we take to tackle eco anxiety? So some people have said limit media consumption. I think a very hard one if we consider the world, the digital world of our students. Get angry and involved, explore lifestyle changes, be patient, connect with nature, get involved with your community, maintain hopeful thinking, and practice self-care. How can you implement this in your classroom? How can we implement this? Think of an example in your groups of how you can implement this. So for example, limit media consumption. I may say that to the students, I want you to bring a positive article to class about sustainability. I want you to bring a positive article to class. We can find plenty of negative articles about the poor air quality, but now I want you to bring a positive article that targets poor air quality, for example. What has been done globally? Yes? So I'm asking you, give me another example that you can do in your classroom.
Spend some time
Anybody would like to give me an example? How do you do eco-agency, supporting ecology in the classroom?
We can schedule like at the time, if we schedule our media, we can limit the use of our media in our life, or we can replace it with something good.
So, do you mean, for example, we can choose the sources? Yes.
Schedule the time.
Schedule, limit the amount of exposure. Yes, that's true. So we don't get too much, so we don't start seeing everything through a negative, lens, right? We try to keep a positive lens. Yes.
We can focus on what we can control and focus on areas we can easily improve.
Yes, so that goes together with exploring realistic lifestyle changes. I can choose, for example, to drink water from a glass bottle instead of a plastic bottle. Yes?
Right.
No worries, I'll do it for you. I'll use my teacher voice.
Playgrounds for the children. So building up the
take around the giving the green environment to them, may reduce their
Yes, excellent. So community awareness and community building. Yes, on the one hand we have the outdoor area, but we need to create green spaces. We all know that that having a lot of trees and parks and constructing place.
Instead of growing trees, we are cutting.
I know, and that's the problem, right? We need to build more trees to purify the air. Yes, it's a long-term project. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to leave let one more person.
Get involved with your community and interact it with your social media. Limit the media. We are saying all the time. Don't, we cannot work with this. What the students can do, they are doing something good within their community. It's in a small community, and link it with the different media like Flipgrid, like YouTube, and they share their experiences. So
Yes.
this will also help us to focus to get sustainability.
Yes. So letting students share their experiences, yes, that they do. So connecting not only with nature, but also with others, yes, and sharing successful experiences. We're going to go, and I'm going to this largely been mentioned, so I'm going to go to the next one. How can we get all the students interested in the climate crisis? And I'm going to move on just because of time's sake. Okay, so to engage our students, we must make sure that we listen to them, okay? It's not not us. In reality, it's them. They are the future. Yes? Today, we cannot change. We can change tomorrow. So we really need to listen to their needs. What are their needs? What are their fears? Yes? We need to ensure that when we discuss the climate, that we do it with proximity to the issues. What issues are occurring in your area? Yes? What can you do to get your students involved? How are the issues affecting your students? What can we do to get them involved? And how can we, if we want to get everyone involved, how can we connect that to the curriculum? Because we all know that as teachers, yes, we have a mission, and our mission is to work on curriculum. So how can we not only link it to their environment, yes, their local space, but also to the curriculum? Now, there are many barriers to teaching about climate crisis. I've already talked about it needs to be related to the local context. It needs to be related to the curriculum. But what are your barriers? As a teacher, what are your barriers to teaching about the climate crisis? Because there are some. As a parent, what are your barriers? As an administrator working in education, what are the barriers? Anybody? Give me one barrier. What is one thing that keeps you from doing it? And I'm going to go to people I haven't heard yet. Yes, right there.
As a parent, I would say that today's students or the young generation is facing the problem of spending major time in physical activities. So involving physical activities and exposure to green may reduce their anxiety, and may develop, or you can say, they will become more interested in growing greenly in the future.
Okay, so I think you've kind of misunderstood my question, but that's okay. So you're saying we need to expose them outside, yes, to the outside world, to make them aware of the climate. My question is, it's a very good one, it's a very good solution, yes? My question is, what is a barrier? For example, as an administrator, I might say, I don't want to spend money on additional resources to actually work on climate at my school. We've already got the books, we paid for all of this, we're not doing climate, we're not spending that money. Yes? So that's a barrier to doing climate. Yes?
As a curriculum development, it should be part of the curriculum. At times, teachers it's challenging for them to go for a special activity on saving the environment. So it is part of the project of their daily academic need. So we can be in the teachers.
Yes. So the question is, yes, I want to do climate, but how do I link climate to the curriculum? And today we're going to talk about short activities we can do, because we all know time is a challenge in the classroom. classroom. Managing our time is very challenging. What about teachers? I've heard the voice of management, yes, curriculum people. I've given you an example of if I'm a leader of a school, if I'm a principal, but what about the teacher? What is another challenge as teachers?
As teachers, I feel that it's a very big challenge that the students, they are very much into using these gadgets and everything, and they spend all the time on them, and they are not ready to, do something physical. Alright, and obviously then they, if the teacher is imposing something on them, asking them to do it, they think that the teacher is involving them forcibly. They are not willing to do it themselves, majority of them.
Okay, so we're going to switch it around. Remember that our new role or our future role as teachers is the guide. Yes? Yes, is the facilitator. So I'm going to use the students as my guide. So instead of saying my students are not going to want to do this or my students want to be on their devices, we're going to let the students guide this type of learning. What are your interests? How are they going to guide it? We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So here are some of our barriers. Lack of time, lack of expertise. As a teacher, you need to do research, but that's always about upskilling ourselves as professionals. We can't be talking about something we know nothing about, so it's very important. We're sometimes a little bit inflexible. Yes? We want to cover our curriculum. This is my textbook. I don't like that new stuff. I don't want to do it. And then there's, of course, cost. New materials, if we want to get a speaker, a field trip, etc. So, one of the best ways to combat eco-anxiety is with action. So now we are at the action piece of Save the Planet. My question is, right now, talk to your neighbor, 30 seconds. What are you currently doing in your class? What action are you taking? Tell the person sitting next to you. What action are you taking? If you're an educator, what action are you taking? So I've heard two things. I've heard planting trees. That's a really exciting thing. Yes? Because it cleans the air and it also lowers the temperature in the long run. So planting trees is a great one at a school level or a community level. Somebody else said speakers. Yes, coming to talk about the topic. Anything else? Anything you're doing specifically in that classroom, in your space?
In the classroom, we can have these small green pots, and these pots can be put in different areas in the classroom because green always look good.
Yes.
Always give us a very good.
So planting in our classrooms, and then of course learning about plants, linking that to science. Yes.
Do you want to planting every year? Do you want to find out where is the area there is no plant?
Yes.
You have to gather the student and do something for them.
Okay, so far we've had trees, planting in our classroom. I want something completely different. I want something completely different from someone I haven't heard yet. I'm going to go all the way to the back there.
Recycling. We used to do
do recycling in our classes, the solid waste management, how can they use the material that they have wasted, how to reuse.
Reuse. So recycle, and reuse. Okay, something completely different. Somebody who can give me something different.
We are teaching our students to make compost. We are gathering the banana peels, apple peels which we are bringing, and then we have put disposable plastic bottle, and we are letting them put and then observing them over the period of time what is happening.
Excellent. So we're creating compost. What are you doing with that compost?
Putting them later on in the school garden.
Okay, so you're then using it to fertilize your garden. Excellent. I'm going to stop it right there because of the time. So, where do we go now? Now, most of you have mentioned examples of collective action. When I talk about collective action, it's at the school and it's within the local community. Yes? Some of you have mentioned individual action, but most of you have mentioned collective action. You see here a variety of things that we can do. Yes? Later we're going to go back to those and we're going to think about how to implement them, but now first we're going to look at some practical examples. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is green routines in my classroom. What is a green routine? Think about what are routines in the classroom.
Like any class routine,
daily routines. Yes, daily routines. What's an example of a daily routine? Morning assembly, an icebreaker you start with. Yes? So, a green routine is basically just something we do, in our classroom to put the focus on the planet. It's short activities. They can be done when you have those 5 minutes at the end of the day, in the morning to energize, in between two activities, right after lunch. Yes? So here are some examples, and they're all linked to the planet. For example, using planet statistics, some of these are going to be better for young children, some for older. Bringing in a good news article. Sharing things on social media, finding an eco-influencer, and our students all love that, right? Is there a major eco-influencer here in Pakistan? Who's the name? Who's the name? Yes? Is there a major eco-influencer? Okay, so you're talking about a Pakistani influencer. Yes, so there's major influencers and getting the students to actually share about them. Doing a plastic audit in our classroom at our school, all that plastic. Somebody already talked about planting and getting the students to tweet about everything they learned that has an effect. And sometimes we don't think about it, but actually every topic, and I want to point this out too, every topic in the classroom can be linked to the planet. Yes? So if you think, for example, about sports, we think, sports, there's no link to the planet. Well, sports, with global warming, now all the time we have to consume more water. We can't always go outside because the quality of the air is poor. So even sports is linked to the planet, yes? So you've done a lesson on sports, now reflect on how does sports link to the planet. We're going to look at some activities, and when you're reflecting, you need to think about your context, okay? In the following activities, you need to think about what is the age of my students, what subject area I'm potentially using this for, what is the link to the curriculum, and then does it promote opportunities for collaboration, critical thinking, communication, and creativity. So, we don't need, imagine I gave this quote to the students, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly. Yes? Yes. Do you agree with this statement or not? How could you use it in your classroom? 1 minute at your tables.
Yes.
You're all very teachers.
Say, I won't wait to be able to bring up the season numbers.
We're very quiet today. Because it's Sunday Yes, we know it's hard. So what do you think? Yes, what do you think? Okay, everyone, I think everybody agrees with this statement, and I'm going to continue because I'm way behind schedule. So, I'm not going to do this one. I'm not going to do this one. I'm going to go. Okay. I'm going to do this one because it's very controversial. So, are these as green as they seem? What is the one here? What is this? AI, and what is that? Electric car. Discuss. And I'm going to include with the AI your phone, your internet, your computer at home. All of those belong to this domain. And then we've got the electric car. Discuss at your tables. Are they as green as they seem? Is it better than me? Is it better than me? To some extent, yes. Why is it better than me? Okay, so paper comes from trees, from killing the trees. Okay, where does the internet and the electricity, where does that come from? Renewable energy. Renewable. Yeah. I wish. Okay, so let's just sum up it. Yes, some of it is true. Okay? Some of that energy generated comes from hydro, for example, here in Pakistan, comes from solar. Some of it. But remember that that's actually on a global scale of that much still. And the rest of it still comes from fossil fuels. It's a very difficult one. Yes, and but we need to be aware of this. We need to turn our phones off at night, and we need to teach our students this. And we also need to show them this, because people assume, just like you did, that the electricity and the internet are the better alternative. They aren't necessarily. It's the same with that car. Is that car better than my petrol car? We don't know. Yes.
Also not only consuming the fossil fuel, but also emitting emission, which is again deterrent towards the ecosystem.
Okay, so we have fossil fuels being burnt in the engine of a car. Okay, now I have the electric car. What's going on? So the electric car is powered by what? By a battery, right? But what is the source of that battery? Those minerals? Are they, when we're getting those minerals out of the ground, we're polluting the groundwater. We then have, how are we generating that electricity? Again, back to electricity. Yes? Then we have, and there are many other issues. The car's way heavier. That also has an impact. So it's not, what I'm trying to point out is that this is critical thinking, okay? This is what I want to happen in the classroom. We've now learned about renewable energy, and we all go, yes, yes, this is the solution for the planet. However, it's not that easy. Paper, we can say immediately it's cutting trees, okay? We all know that's bad. It's an easy one. Yes, we can recycle paper, we can then reuse it, but still, it's still a limited picture. But the picture of this is not an easy picture, and we need to be aware of that. And it is, our students need to be taught to put that critical thinking hat on to move that forward. Yes? How many minutes do I have left? 5. Okay, so in line with that, I want to do something else, and that is looking at our carbon footprint. And there's probably another 10 or 15 slides in here with ideas that you're going to use in your classroom. But I want to say, okay, so we all say I do something for the environment, right? So I'm vegetarian. Anybody else in here vegetarian? Look at how many people are vegetarian in here. Yes, I'm clapping for all these people. Yes? There's actually more than just me and Kate. Yes, there's quite a lot. I'm not on a mission to create vegetarians, okay? But the reason I'm saying that is we all have a carbon footprint, our emissions. And we all assume, like many people do, I fly all the time all over the world. And I'm very embarrassed about that because my carbon footprint is a disaster. So in my life, I try to make changes. For example, I'm a vegetarian, I walk places. So another activity we can do with students, and I think it's a very interesting one, is we can get them to calculate their carbon footprint. Yes, this is where you stand, and then look at, compare to other people globally. And now, what can I do, yes, to reduce mine? A very interesting project for students to do. Again, you can tie that, for example, to science. That's the easy one, but it can also be tied to math, to English, to any curriculum area. Yes, because it teaches us to think critically after discovering what our profile is. What is my carbon footprint? And then comparing with our friends. And then we can set lifestyle changes. We can decide to do one thing every month to change the reality for the next year. Yes, we can set goals in terms of the planet. Yes? Often, teachers ask me, so what can we do with things we find online? Here's another example that I'm going to finish with today. These are examples of visuals, very easy visuals that we can also use with both primary and secondary. So, I've got the 7 R's, yes? Now, how am I going to implement that in my life, comparing with others? The climate crisis, and everything concerning sustainability changes every single day, every single month, all the time. Yes? The research out there changes all the time. That's why what I say to you today is correct right now. Sustainable energy is on the increase. Yes? So greener solutions will become more green. But it's important that we as educators recognize the eco-anxiety of our students. Yes? They are facing a lot. They are worried. Yes, it's normal for especially our teens to be very worried. And therefore, it is our mission to bring this into the classroom. We must bring it into the classroom. We must talk about it. We must help them to build a better future by giving them the skills and by teaching them to be critical. Yes? Now, I will send the PowerPoint to everyone. Yes? Because I'll make it available. Because there's so much in here that you can use in your classroom. And as a teacher, in the end, I want to go to my classroom and use new things with my students. So I wish all of you a great trip back to your schools. And I hope that you will take what you've learned in the classroom and make your students eco warriors. Yes? Fighting for the world.